Good morning, all of those of you who are up at 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining me for our regular Thursday morning time together. Thursday morning, a reading from my book, Rest for the Justice Seeking Soul. I'm glad that you're here. It's kind of hard to believe that we're at the end of May already. We are at mid-year 2024. It's going really, really fast. But I hope that you are still concentrating on and remembering and contemplating the goals you made for yourselves for this year, because it's important for us to keep on growing and keep on stretching and keep on finding new parts of ourselves, listening to new things and going to lectures and reading new books so that we can be informed. And it's just important. It's just really important. And so mid-year for me is always a touch point, a flash point for me to sit down and kind of go over what I've done. When you write down what you want to do and then you look it over, you can see where you are and what more you have to do. You know what it's like? It's like when you go to tithe the church, you give your offering in church, and then you get your end of the year statement. And it almost always happened with me that I always thought I gave more than the numbers showed. So keeping yourself accountable is a really good thing, and it's an important thing because all of us all of the time have to be accountable, but especially in these days. So I hope that you're doing that. So I just want to give a shout out and a good morning to all of you guys who are here. Shout out to Reverend Andrew Wilkes, who I see wrote a new book and it's coming out this week. I'm getting ready to order my copy. Shout out, shout out, shout out. And it's good. That all of my friends are doing so well. I say a prayer for those who are not doing so well. I have a couple of friends who are not doing so well, but say a prayer for those who are doing well. And for me, you know what? My dog died 2 weeks ago yesterday, my shepherd, my German shepherd. And I am like really astounded at how much this hurts. But you know what? I can also feel the prayers of you people, of you who have lost pets, who have pets, or you've lost pets, and you know what it feels like. And you have said to me, I'm praying, and I just want to thank you because it is really, 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 really hard. So, so this morning, I just wanted us to all be in a place of prayer, in a spirit of prayer. And you know why? It's because the jury is out on the criminal trial of the former president. And it's very difficult to have faith in any of the systems of this country based on what has been done to them. It's difficult to have confidence even in the Supreme Court with two justices that are obviously compromised. The latest being Samuel Alito, who is clearly on the side of those who want to overturn this government. It just bugs me that our systems don't make it mandatory to get someone like him or like Clarence Thomas off of the bench, who have clearly shown their partisan leanings. If it were, I don't know, I don't want to go there, but it's crazy. So it's really difficult to have confidence in the justice system. Don't have confidence in the judges. It's just you already, as an African American, didn't have much confidence in the police. And so you wonder, who do you go to? Where do you go when you need justice? It's getting harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. So I say all that to say is that the jury is out, and I don't think that the attorneys for the former president are looking for an acquittal, although they say so in their tirades. They're looking for just one person to say, "I have reasonable doubt." And it's bugging me. I am hoping and praying that that does not happen. We need to see justice, even for, or maybe especially for, people like that who flout the law, who just go against it and kind of push it in our faces and do whatever the heck they want to do and get away with it, while there are so many people in prison for having done a whole lot less than that. Nonviolent crimes, drug crimes. They use that war on drugs to put so many of us, especially Black people, in prisons, and they keep those prisons populated because somebody, i.e., the prison industrial complex, or members who are the people who are a part of that whole thing, are getting lots and lots and lots of money on our backs. And so and I don't feel comfortable with this jury being out, but I just want us to pray. Those of you who believe in prayer, mumble a prayer, mumble it every time you think about it, that Lord, let there be real justice done. Real justice, because real justice means that this person who has done these things, who has all these indictments against him, will get what he deserves. Come on now. I'm even bugged that the system allows him to even run for president. I am bugged that the media talks about he is a presumed candidate of nomination for the Republican Party. something's wrong. This whole system needs to be like shut down and rebuilt because something is wrong when it's something like that is going on, and a guy who's had that many indictments against him is still being allowed to run for office. My soul will not be still. My soul will not be still. And I am wondering if other people are feeling that way. And if you are, pray, just pray, pray, pray. The word says pray without ceasing. Pray, pray, pray that something will happen in that jury room that will make the people understand that this guy is bad news for the democracy. He's bad news for the rule of law, whatever the heck that means. I don't even know what it means anymore, except it means to keep black people in their place. But he's wrong. It's just wrong. And you can't, and they keep talking now about there being a two-tier justice system. Duh. You just getting that? We as black people and brown people and poor people don't have any money. We already know that. We already know that people who don't have the means to buy justice seldom get it. Seldom. So my soul is bothered by that. I hope that you'll pray. I think that, and I always say, and I believe this, that organized people are more powerful than organized money. But that daggone Supreme Court it's embarrassing. That is so stuck in itself and stuck in its desire for power and stuck in its desire to help turn this country over. That's not what it's supposed to be. So if you are a person facing the justice system and you have to face judges like that, I just don't. I mean, it's not a new thing. It's not a new thing. That this is the first time that I have tasted it myself in these days, and I'm just bugged by it. So say a prayer. Say a prayer. So in this whole thing about being still, you guys know that I do this, to push my book Rest for the Justice Seeking Soul, and I sincerely hope that I'll get a second edition done because, like I say, every week I write a meditation every single week, wherever I am in the world, and send it out. So this week I wrote one where I'm not reading from the book today, but you can get the book on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or all kinds of book sites. Rest for the Justice Seeking Soul. There's 90 meditations in there, and I try to infuse them with history and things that are going on in the real world. So I hope that you will still get it. But this week I sent one out that I wrote for the time of now, And you already heard me kind of mumble about how, well, maybe not mumble, but say out loud, rather agitatedly, that my soul will not be still with this whole jury thing, with this whole two-tier system of justice where the very wealthy get away with anything and everything. I'm so mad about it and so concerned. So as I think about it, my soul has gotten anxious. And so the meditation for this week is called When It Is Impossible to Be Still. Some of the most powerful words of consolation, affirmation, and the support that God gives us all are found in Psalm 46, the beginning words of which are, God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. God's presence with us, regardless of what is going on in our lives. For me, it's like a balm or an ointment rubbed into a burn or an abrasion. Even if we don't feel immediate relief when we apply balm to our irritated skin, its presence gives us a sense of calm. My grandchildren's grandmother carries, like she calls it, healing oil in her purse. And if they get a boo-boo, they go, Grandma, can you put the oil on? And, she takes it out and their whole faces, they just relax because it's the presence of that. It's the suggestion that there is something going on us or in us that's healing us and giving us strength. And that calmness reminds us that the pain will not last forever because the ointment or the balm is doing the work of healing. Psalm 46 reminds us verse by verse that God has our backs. And if we allow ourselves to inhale its words, we feel comfort, regardless of what's going on in our lives. Given all of the words that's there's something we need to think out. But those are really good and powerful words. But verse 10 of the Psalm asks us to do something. It says, be still and know that I am God. Sometimes that's just not possible. Given all of the words of confirmation, affirmation, and support that we have read, this ask of God ought not to be troubling. Surely we can be still if we know that God is with us, right? But sometimes, maybe too often, we cannot be still. Life sometimes feel like a wool sweater whose fibers scratch our skin and make us need to scratch because it itches. Or life may give us a chair on which to sit to wait and rest, but the chair seat has spikes on it, not enough to break our skin, but enough to make us uncomfortable. We cannot be still because the spikes on the seat irritate our skin. Sometimes life wraps us in prickly wool or leads us to sit in places that are uncomfortable. What do we do? We find ourselves in those situations often in our relationships with people. When there is a conflict with people, resentment or anxiety can morph into anger and become a force that rumbles and stirs within us. And instead of letting a thing go, instead of stopping any conversation about it, we dive deeper into it. Every opportunity we have, we start talking about what's bugging us with that person or with that relationship to anybody. We have a response for every comment thrown our way. We see that the exchange we are in is not effective or helpful, but we cannot be still. We cannot be quiet. We cannot walk away from the person or situation that is stealing our joy. We help escalate the situation until sometimes the relationship that is causing us problems becomes too damaged to be fixed and it dies. In these days of political chaos, more people are likely responding to spiritual, cultural, emotional, and personal assaults than ever before. Our nerves are frayed. We've gone through this crap since 2016. Our nerves are frayed. Our confidence in the American government, in the courts, and in organizations charged with keeping us safe have all but disappeared. We cringe at what we are seeing and hearing, and we want to respond in kind. We want to personally make the crooked places straight and the rough places smooth because everything feels crooked and everything feels bumpy right now. But that desire to make the rough places smooth, though understandable, is not a desire our human minds and spirits can achieve. Too much has happened, too much damage has been done. Our minds and spirits have been insulted and assaulted, thrust into the middle of the fight for control of this country and its institutions. We feel little reassurance in those things in place that would normally make us feel a modicum of comfort. And so we wiggle, we squirm, we try to scratch our itching soles, unable to reach the right place to make the itching stop. Have you ever had an itch in your back and you can't get to it? And finally you have to find I found the other day a nail file or something so I could just pull my arm up and push that down and get that spot. You got to get the spot. And when we're trying to get that spot, we cannot be still. The crooked places are really crooked. The law is being circumvented or totally ignored. The spread of disinformation and misinformation continues to grow. The threat of losing basic rights is growing, and not enough people realize it. The U.S. support of genocide, not only in Palestine, but in other countries, is continuing. Police brutality in this country, primarily against Black people, is not decreasing. Women's rights stand to be further eroded. Can you imagine they want to make it illegal for you to get birth control? Whew. We are living with scratchy wool on our backs, and we cannot be still. But God has given us all an amazing capacity to endure pain and discomfort. In other words, we can get through this, and we can get through this with our relationship with God intact, but we got to understand to stay connected. People who need muscle and hip replacements endure this kind of pain, all this pain all the time, with very few people being aware. I mean, people who are not in their situation, very few of us realize or are aware of how bad their pain is. All of us endure physical and emotional and spiritual pain that is beyond description, but somehow we go on. In some way, we endure it and continue to do our work. I work for ourselves, I work for God. I am always impressed and will forever be impressed with Chadwick Boseman, who managed not only to star in raucous movies while he suffered from colon cancer, but he did it without the masses knowing what he was suffering. Whew. The ability to endure pain, to ignore the scratchy wool on our backs, is a gift given to us by God. When we can incline our ears and hear God and trust God enough to believe that God knows how bad we feel, Our spirit morphs from anxiety to peace, despite what we are going through. May those today whose backs are itching, like mine is, today pause and mumble the words of Psalm 46. Internalize the words that remind you of God's presence, regardless of what is going on, and what is going on, and let that be the ointment your scratchy back needs. In doing that, you will be able to be still. You'll be able to be still. You will feel God hovering over you like mothers hover over their distraught children. Do you remember that when you were sick, when you were little? My mother would come up in our rooms and I could feel her hovering over us, and she was concerned because we'd have colds and coughs, and she would take Vicks Fable Rub and she would rub it on our chest. Mothers hover over us, fathers hover over us, God hovers over us. And if we are aware of that, if we can be still long enough to internalize that truth, we will feel the arms of God and feel safe there. Not only safe, but strengthened for the journey. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Remember that. Remember that. Amen and amen. So that's the meditation for today. If you're watching this on YouTube, I ask that you subscribe and hit like, because we're trying to grow our meditation family. And if you're not on YouTube, you can go and sign up for Chrissy Faith Ministries Columbus, Ohio. You'll see the purple logo. That's our site. I encourage you all to continue to be vigilant and increase your knowledge base about what the other side wants to do. I think I'm going to have a serious webinar on Project 2025 so that everybody will know what's going on. We have to know. I saw that Charlemagne the God is kind of switching up. He's kind of saying, he said, in the clip that I saw, he said he was not for the other guy because he wants to protect his rights. That's what I'm talking about. You have to understand how dangerously close we are to having our rights taken away and having one person, not a system, but one person make decisions about all of our lives. That should creep you out. It creeps me out. So I hope that you are watching and listening, and stay tuned to our Facebook page so you can see when this webinar on Project 2025 is going to come. Shout out to all of you who signed the petition to as concerns Marilyn Mosby. She's not going to go to prison for 40 years. She's on house detention for 3 years, but praise God for that. That's a hard thing to do, be in your house that whole time, but it's better than the alternative she was facing. And so shout out to all of you who helped. Remember that, until all of us, or unless all of us are free, none of us are free. Unless all of us get injustice, all of us get justice, all of us are in danger of receiving injustice. That's why we do these readings. That's why I try to give these things to strengthen us for the journey. So keep your eyes out for that. Thank you for being here on this Thursday, May 30th in the year of our 2024. I love you for tuning in, and I hope to see you again next week. Thanks for the comments. Keep those comments coming and help us continue to expand our Crazy Faith family. Take good care and have a really good week. Bye-bye.